to safely blanket your horse. So the first time you go to blanket your horse, you want to be aware of whether or not you've done it before with them. If your horse is acclimated to wearing a blanket and you're used to putting it on, it's not as big of a deal. But if your horse hasn't seen a blanket before, you want to give him ample time to get used to it. So you might let him sniff it, you might rub him down with it, kind of similar to how you'd introduce him to a saddle pad or any other sort of desensitizing. When I go to put my blanket on my horse, I find the tail flap, I run down the spine, and I find the wither pad. And I'll fold that neatly down my arm, so I kind of have two halves of the blanket here, and then I'll just put it right over his back like a saddle. So since he wants to look at it, I'll let him smell it for a moment, and he's pretty cool with that. So I'll just run my hand down his arm, find the spot where I'm going to set it, and I'm going to pitch it over his back like I would a saddle. Once it's up here on his back, I'm going to go ahead and unroll it till I find that wither pad. I usually set that up a little bit further in front of the wither than it's going to sit at the end, just for now. Then I'm going to take the tail flap, bring it right down over his hip. You want to make sure you don't stand directly behind your horse and you watch how they act. As long as they're relaxed, you can keep it there. And now you can see I have it unfurled all the way across him. So now I'll bring it back, which will smooth his hair down under the blanket till it's just above his wither, enough that it's keeping the rain out. You don't want it too far back, and that the sides are going to reach. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll reach over the top of his back, and I'll find kind of this part of the blanket on that side, bring it around to the front of his chest. I have a hook and loop attachment here that I'll stick together, and then I take the clips, and when you clip the clips of the blanket, you want to make sure the opening faces towards the horse. The reason we do this is because they're easy to snap onto things, and you don't want your horse to snap himself to his water bucket or the fence or anything like that. So then you make sure those snaps are nice and even, that you don't have a bunch of gapping there that they could get a hoof caught up in, and then you're going to work your way to the next strap. The next thing is your belly surcingle. You don't want to just stick your whole head under your horse because you could get kicked. So I'm just going to reach under this front one. You don't want to attach it to the front, you'll end up with too much space. You bring it to the back of the blanket on a diagonal, and you can see how this snap is on a diagonal, and then I'll attach that. You can see that's kind of snug, but if I just bring the blanket down over his hip, that balances that out. Then same thing for the back one. I'll stand up here at his shoulder, bring that up, and then again you can see it's kind of snug, but once I adjust it on his hip a little bit, it balances out. I want to be able to get my hand in there, but nothing more. He needs to have room to breathe and expand his rib cage, but you don't want him to get a hoof caught in there. So finally I have my leg straps. When I attach the leg straps, I'm going to bring it between his legs. I'm standing off to the side always, never directly behind the horse. And then you snap to the little clip here. On the opposite side, same thing. But you're actually going to bring the strap through the other strap so that they don't rub the insides of his thighs. Free up his tail, and then attach it. After that, your blanket's on your horse. You can make any minor adjustments you need to, but everything's good.